So I will call the meeting to order at 5:02. This is the first official meeting of CHAMPS for this year, I believe. Everything up till now has been kind of prep meetings. We'll run through quick introductions.
I didn't have any extra printed out, I'm sorry.
Do you need one? We can share if you want. Okay, myself, I am Jordan Zalewski. I am the president of CHAMPS for the 2020 and 2021 school year. Amanda Bazinski and Aaron Strobel, our treasurer and secretary team, is that correct? Is that how we worded it last time? Okay. Also, Heather McCann and Tom Zamzar are in attendance. Thank you both for being here. As far as the secretary's report from last year, we'll just go ahead and skip that one. I think all the notes are...
So what I have in the notes is first meeting of the year, nothing to approve.
Yeah, that'll work. Okay, and then we will get on with the treasurer's report then.
Okay, so for the treasurer's report this summer, we made a suggestion to subtract $250 from each account, the middle school and the elementary accounts, to fund the back-to-school supplies for youth. So current balances are for K3. Beginning balance is $10,264, and the middle school account is $1949.14 after the subtraction.
What was the balance again for elementary?
$10,264. So,
That's for the 4K3?
yes,
And the middle school was...
$1949.14.
Now is that
That's separate.
including your fundraiser that you guys did separately?
No, their fundraiser is separate from our
Okay,
account.
so that's just in there from
Yep,
the,
that was
the big
the,
rollover.
yep, that was
What
the
is the
transfer that
4/7
we
again?
did.
And then our popcorn fundraiser.
Oh,
Correct.
So that's...
yeah, they participated.
We added a little bit after that.
No, they did not participate in the popcorn fundraiser. That's,
Oh.
the 10 is from the fundraiser from
Yeah.
all three combined.
Mhm.
If that makes sense. Sorry.
That's the reason there's an imbalance in
Mhm.
between the US and...
Well, the imbalance is we did 75% of the funds when we split the accounts. 75% went to elementary and 25% went to the middle school. So there has been no additions added into the middle school funding. We've only been debiting out of it for isolated instances. Like we had captain for Cindy Hodak was trying to do.
Family engagement?
Thank you.
And then also there was some food that you gave to the kids last year for snacks.
Food, and then the teacher
Teacher
appreciation.
All right, so are there any other questions about our treasurer's report? Okay, well then I will make a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Every time. Okay, moving on to some of our old business, we're going to touch on the playground initiative. We also have box tops and some binders to talk about. The playground initiative kind of took a stall like everything else did with the COVID, but we are excited to see what opportunities we can go move forward with this year. I know we had talked to Jake Leiterman last year, one of the last times we've met, and starting to pull him in and get him involved, which I think is very important. So,
I just wanted to clarify, the playground equipment that we're talking about is focused on our 4K through 3rd grade at East, West, and North, correct?
yes.
Okay. The middle school did get some new equipment. We used some budget money. We're not focusing on any assistance from CHAMPS at this time. This purely is focused on 4K3. I just wanted to make that clear.
Yep.
Okay.
I think we had mentioned at the end of it, if there's ever anywhere we can help with the middle school, we can can add that in afterwards, but yeah, our focus is on elementary. So does anybody else have anything they want to discuss on the playground initiative right now? I think we're kind of,
I guess, even though we're stalled, what are we looking at for a timeline for starting having conversations or having a committee put together for the playground initiative? Do we have a tentative date to start?
not yet, but I think we should set one today, or at least get into motion talking to the people that we need to get in contact with.
Okay.
So at one of our last get-togethers.
When we worked on the binders?
Yes, when we
It
worked on
wasn't
the
a meeting.
binders, Jake actually happened to stop in at the office here, and Tom, maybe he had talked to you about doing the playground inspections?
I think that was something that I was asked to follow up on, so then I talked to Jake, and then he must have.
Right, then he came and talked to
Yeah.
me and said that he was thinking once that he is a certified playground inspector,
Mhm.
so that he could do those inspections. And he was wondering if we were okay with that,
Mhm.
and then what the timeline would be, if we were okay if we held off on that till after he got the back-to-school stuff
Yeah.
done. And I said, yeah, that would be fine.
Mhm.
So I think Jake has it on his plate to do those inspections for us and at least give us, I told him we were looking for something in writing, so we had some documentation as we were trying to put together fund requests and
Yeah.
grant money and all that type of stuff, that we had some documentation that supported our need.
Mhm.
So I have not talked to him since then, but that was just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
So now that school's back in session, hopefully things will settle down for him. And
You know, and I don't know how creative you get. I don't know, you know, with this situation we're in with fundraising and, you know, do you consider things like, you know, GoFundMe stuff or, I don't know, you know, where people can just, okay, I want to give to the playground fund and or that's a link or something on promotional material or,
So for
I don't
the
know.
GoFundMe thing, CoVantage can actually set up a direct deposit into a separate account for just the playground. And there's no fee that comes out of that. When you use a GoFundMe account, they take 10% of all of the donations.
oh. So
So
do you-
just something to think about.
yeah,
So we need to get an avenue to where people can just donate to the playground initiative.
yeah,
yeah.
Now, is that something that we should be talking to Tim about? Like where he could potentially set up that account and then have the link?
before we get that far, do we just want to set a
Yeah, probably a date.
playground meeting?
Yeah, sorry.
We're gonna have our first
Yep.
official playground meeting, anybody that's interested in participating in this initiative, and then, you know, have Jake and, you know, whoever
Yeah.
wants to be part of that, and that planning committee, then we start talking about, okay, what kind of grant request do we wanna do, where do we deposit the money, you know, and starting all of
Yep.
that formal work for that. I think we
Yeah.
need an official
Sure.
Absolutely.
I
That
call,
would be-
let's start this, you know,
That'll be one of
restart
the
this
agenda
initiative.
items on that meeting, then. We'll
Yeah.
talk about different ways to be able to donate.
So do we want to set that meeting?
I think we should.
I think we should get with Jake first to make sure. He's like one of the pivotal people that need to be there, so I think we should make it to where he can attend.
Okay, so follow-up item is to get with Jake, see when the inspection's gonna be complete and find out his schedule to set a playground initiative meeting.
We'll say try and get it in the next
Couple of weeks.
week or two, yeah.
I'd say by mid-October, it should be set.
The
Like,
meeting
or
should be
done.
set. Or done, accomplished.
By mid-October or mid-September?
I'm thinking mid-October to be completed, but
So let's come up with a date by September 15th. That works for everybody. Does that sound?
because then we can get
You
it
know,
out
a night
there.
that he is typically here is on a school board night at the end of the month, last Tuesday of the month. Maybe that meeting is a little bit before that. The board meetings are at 6, so,
That would be cool to get with him and have that meeting done before that, in case there's any like random questions that maybe need to ask somebody offline after the board meeting.
Okay.
or whenever he's available, you know.
So I'll take the action item to get I'll email Tom, I'll keep you on the email, I'll put us on there, I'll put Jake on there. Is there anybody else we want included right now? Do we want Tim included or not quite
Let's
yet?
start with Jake.
Okay.
Any other information on the playground initiative? Rachel, can you hear us?
I sure can.
Awesome, good. Sorry we didn't ask earlier. Okay, so then we will move on to the box top program if there's nothing else on the playground. Erin, do you have anything you want to?
Give me 1 second. Sitting up. Okay, so for box tops, I haven't checked with the West coordinator at all yet this fall. I'm assuming they're still handling their program. So I'm still going to, as of right now, manage the East and North ones. I haven't checked the balances like over the summer to see how things have gone. And if there's still money to be deposited and stuff, but I know I want to get a hold of the secretaries and see if we can put something in our end of month newsletter that I think you guys are still doing. And have just a snippet every month that with the updated totals and a take-home sheet for parents to put the apps on their phone and how to do all of that. I know I'm getting more in the habit of scanning all my receipts and sending it in. I got an extra $2.50 the other day, so that was a sweet surprise. So I'll do that within the next week or so, get that stuff out and find out from the the secretaries when they need that information by for that end of month.
Okay.
Is there a specific day that the handouts go home to parents for
Is it
like
Wednesday,
the
the
box
folders?
tops?
Used to be
Okay, is it still
Wednesday.
Wednesday? Okay.
Did you want to put the information on the dojo stuff too?
Yep. Yeah. we
So
can do
today
that.
I kind of resent out, like, who is the lead on each thing. So Jennifer Rame is the lead at East. She will be doing any dojo information and she'll be doing newsletter, whatever, and she confirmed that with me today.
Okay.
And then at West, Rachel, I didn't get any confirmation because I know it's busy and everything got sent out late, but I had put down that Becky Hilger would post to dojo and that Julie Samolinski would be the person to either print an agenda off or she could also be that person creating the newsletter. Is that true?
Good, yes.
Okay, good. And
Yeah.
then at North, Shelby Drobick is the secretary, that she would do the newsletter, and then the dojo was Donna Smith
Right.
or Jolene Keppel.
Okay.
Do you need emails from any of those? 'Cause
Nope.
If you do, okay.
No,
good.
I should be good.
And at the middle school, did you say you talked to Pam last year? So Pam's just
Pam was
McCauley?
doing it last year, so I'll still reach out to her and
Yep.
see if we still want to put something in the
Perfect.
middle school one as well.
Mhm. And then Leslie Matterzak is in charge of all of our communication,
Right.
dojo, et cetera. So check with Pam first, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, I believe the containers for the clippable ones, hopefully there's not many anymore, but I still find occasionally the clippable ones. So if any of the students do turn those in or whatever, then I can pick those up and send them in as well, so.
It's an easy way to make some
Yeah.
money to help out the school, so I
And
think
they're
it's
constantly
great.
doing, promotions and stuff where, like I said, the other day, earn 25 box tops if you buy 4. I bought snacks for school, so it was the Nabisco Keebler stuff or whatever, so I got, an extra $2.50, so 25 box tops for that. And you can do online receipts and stuff like that too, so if you do Walmart or Sam's Club, curbside pickup and all that, you just have an email you have to send, you just forward them the receipt and they get credit for that as well. So it is super easy, it's just, you have to take pictures of your receipts and submit them. within 14 days of going to the store, so. That's all I got for backstops right now.
Okay. Our next item is the updated binders. Do you have something else on box tops?
Binders?
Oh, no, okay.
that what you said?
I thought you perked up with
Yep,
box
binders.
tops. Yeah, binders.
Okay. So Aaron and Amanda and I were able to, actually both, Amanda and Aaron. First of all, we cleaned up our Google folder, and everything is with CHAMPS now, because a lot of it was between Heather and everybody else, so that we had duplicates. It was really messy. Aaron was able to navigate through that, and now we have the Google folder cleaned up, and then we'll be giving it to Dustin, and Dustin's going to help just kind of update what the CHAMPS site looks like. So we were hoping to have that taken care of like in October. Okay, so then what this binder is just a copy that would be at the school, just to reference the basic bylaws and a funding approval form, which was updated this past year. And there's also what an agenda would look like, and then that's all that's in there. But
Right. There should be the two funding.
be referenced.
approval.
What?
There should be two funding approvals in there, right? One
two binders for each school.
No, 2 funding approvals should be in there. One is for field trips and one is a funding request.
Oh yeah, I was looking at it, I couldn't like figure out. It didn't say field trip on top.
So are those the updated bylaws as well, reflecting all the changes so far?
Yes.
Okay.
This must be the field trip. This one?
I thought we fixed that, Amanda. To
No,
have the-
here.
Look through it, because if we forgot the field trip one, then we'd have to make sure we put one copy in there.
No, the first one says date and time of trip.
Okay.
Yep, this one is,
The one
I'm
with the
sorry, it
boxes?
says funding approval form. This should be the field trip approval form. And then this is the funding request.
Okay. So we're good?
Yeah, we'll check the titles on those things again. I thought we fixed that, but
Yeah.
maybe it didn't keep it.
If, we might have just titled them and not actually changed the title inside of the document, which would be the, okay. the
We
silly-
tried, you're close.
It would be helpful if it was clear right on top,
Yeah,
so people
Okay.
would, okay.
So I will make an action item that I will update the funding and the field trip approvals and then get them out so that they can be added to the binder.
So I will hold the binders then for tonight so that we
Okay.
can get them updated, and then I'll make sure that we get it ready for October. How does that sound?
Perfect.
And we made enough binders for 3 elementaries, a middle school, and then we'll have 1 that would go to central office. The brochures were updated as well, so we'll give some copies. We did not make a copy for every single student. This brochure will also be updated on the school website. And there is a Spanish form as well. The Spanish form is not going to be in a trifold. Our interpreter just kept it real simple with information,
Perfect.
and I told her that was totally fine.
Can we send those out on Dojo as
Yes.
screenshots too?
We can. So that would be an action, that this gets sent to the dojo liaisons to get that information out.
So I will send that from the CHAMPS email to all of the dojo reps.
Yeah.
okay.
And the Spanish one as well?
Yes,
Okay, but that's not in our file yet.
correct.
Okay.
So that's an action item from me to go to you. I don't know what you guys, Tom and Rachel, would you like to be CC'd on anything that CHAMPS is sending out to your dojo liaison, just so that you have heads up?
Sure.
Yes, please.
All right.
That's probably a good habit to get into,
Yeah.
send it to the administrator too.
Also, I think, Amanda, did you want to share about the link that you created so that we can have easy submission to create an agenda?
So, there is a bit.ly, I will forward it out, or I think it's in one of the emails, but I'll make sure to forward it out with everything else. It is a Google form, so anytime you have an agenda item that you'd like to see for the next meeting, you just click into it, and then it'll ask you what month you want to do it for. So you can send it to your staff, you can send it to whomever you want to. So for example, like when Cindy was trying to do the family engagement nights, she wasn't ready for our next meeting but wanted to do the following month. So she could have done, okay, I want this for November's agenda, and puts it in, and then the Google form information comes to me, and I will drop it into the agenda for the next time. Okay?
And then the second part of that process would be to post the agenda. Was the CHAMPS team goal to post it a
7
week
days
in
before.
advance?
Yep, 7 days before, so.
Good. And I just want to note that this was a lot to get together, and I am just really appreciative of Dustin being here, and we'll start getting the information out to our families that they can at least be a part of this through a link virtually, and then also can view it afterwards. So thank you. The other aspect would be to the notes. So the notes are going to, we made a rule that we would have the notes out by the Monday after the meeting. And send that to the secretaries and the administrators and the dojo rep, because we're gonna be, it's transparent. We're gonna share the notes. And the notes are action items.
Are you putting that, are you doing the notes right now as you go?
Uh-huh.
Are they going on to the Google Drive too?
They are already on the Google Drive, so if you were to pop in right now, you'll see me typing.
Okay. So really,
don't.
we're gonna have the notes done at the end of the meeting, unless
What's
there's
that?
some, so in theory, we're gonna have the notes done at the end of the meeting.
Yeah.
Unless there's something we need to change or think
Well,
about after.
I
See,
think
so
what we're-
that's,
I
so
think
that's
what-
what's weird. I'm not seeing it, because I've been there so I could look at the agenda, and I have that, and I'm not seeing it right now.
Okay?
The bit.ly?
No, this. Let me make sure that it's shared. It is shared to you. So I don't know.
Maybe okay, just, that's fine, we'll just,
So there should be
can-
one that says CHAMPS 9-3-2020 in the meeting minutes. So it's not on the agenda, it's in the meeting minutes.
oh, silly me. See, it's the user, not,
So
Hold
with
on.
the agenda, I think that's gonna have to be an intentional action from the administration to share that with the staff. So that, because we really didn't, we had a couple reps here and there last year, but we weren't fluent. So we were hoping that this Google form would be a good way to reach out for staff, not just administrators, but then also it could be a parent or caregiver that would maybe want to bring something up too, potentially, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
So after the notes are finalized, maybe we should make a separate email just sending those notes to the administrators so that they have it in their inbox in their face, so if they do wanna send it to their staff, they can send it out from there then.
So after
So
it's
they don't-
complete, just hit reshare.
Yeah, maybe, that way they don't have to go searching for it if they wanna send it to
Yeah.
somebody, they can have it already.
and yes, I do see it in the meeting minutes folder, Amanda, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay,
I wanted to circle back, I'm sorry. So when we were talking about the agenda request, the agenda needs to be posted 7 days prior, which means that 8 days prior is the submission deadline. Okay? Because before I said 7, it would be 8 days prior to the meeting that you would need to submit the request for me to get the agenda out.
So I had a question, like today I sent the calendar invite out. I'm wondering through Anago Champs if you're able to send those calendar invites to the administration, because that might be a good place to put the reminder of the bit.ly right into that calendar invite.
Okay. I will attempt that. I think that it works, but we'll try.
Yeah, if you want to just try it with me individually first, you can do that too. Because I would really like to, it's kind of like the request that that CHAMPS had for, can we have access to Dojo so that we can just post it and not, we'll have all these middle people. Well, we talked it over with our Jolene and some of our people that are more of the gurus, and in order to really streamline information and so that everybody knows, like the administrator of each building knows, they felt that we want that middle person in there. So in the other end, if we can get rid of me as a middle person for the calendar invite, I would appreciate it, but if not, then I will do that, just so that the administrators, we have that calendar invite. I am sending it to you, Aaron, and I'm sending it to you, and then you, so I think it should work.
So, first, I appreciate everything that you do that we're supposed to be doing. So I definitely agree with you 100%. We should definitely be sending that invite out. I think we kind of just have let you do it since we kind of started with it.
Yep.
And, but yeah, we should definitely work on taking that over.
So now Amanda and I will work through those details, okay?
So, just back to the notes. Is it going to be as simple as a link to a folder that has September notes, October notes,
Yes.
November notes? Okay,
Yep.
so it'd be just a simple link, here's the champ, link to the notes,
Yep.
right? Okay.
Yes, we've simplified the folder structure that was out there.
It would be like view only for,
For
I don't think
anybody
so.
else, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
what we can do is share the link, that way anybody that has the link can get into the folder, but they would have view-only capacity, so
Mhm.
nobody's in there changing God knows what.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
The problem that we had is we had it on a shared drive to the PBIS documents.
Oh,
And that was not, because I had it under the community in there,
Yeah.
and that created a mess for us. So we got rid of it out of our PBIS documents, and now CHAMPS is gonna be its own. And then we talked about also, like, we referenced CHAMPS/PTO last year for transition, but I heard the board say, we're done with that, we're just gonna go with CHAMPS. Is that true?
I think that's,
We're-
that's
okay,
what we're
sounds
doing,
good.
yes. Okay, is there any other information on binders or forms or folders or any of the work that we've done in the last little bit? Okay.
So that Google form for the agenda request items, that's not out in the Google Drive, right?
It is not in the Google Drive, I don't, hang on. It might be.
Because the one thing that because I did go look at it, I didn't have any agenda items to submit. But and I don't use Google Forms, so is there any way you can see what other items have already been submitted? Or no?
So here's what I'm gonna do. It was not, in fact, in the PTO drive, or the CHAMPS drive, excuse me, don't hate on me right now. Now it is, as
Oh.
of right now. And, I'm sorry, Rachel. So, the way this works, okay? So
Okay.
it's a Google form, so then you select your month, request, whatever, and then when there's somebody that has responses, it's gonna say response here. And when I click on it, did you just submit a response?
Sure did.
Okay. Thank you.
How'd that go?
Okay, so then it'll actually pull it up into like an Excel file where I can see, okay, somebody wants to do blank, blank, blank. For the agenda request, the requester's name is Jordan, I know the month of his request, and I can just pop it right into the agenda.
That's super easy. That link should get sent out quite a bit.
And then once it's complete, I can delete it out of the form, so that way we know that it's completed or add a completed, well, you'll see it in that.
Is there a response that goes directly back to the person who submitted saying, you want to set it up like that, like thank you, we received your response?
So I can send them a personalized one, I'll have to edit the request and add in like an email, which is not that hard to
It might be
do.
a good idea just to reassure.
Okay, because I didn't have to
Until
put any
we-
contact information.
Okay, so now you will.
Yeah, an email at least.
Okay. That's also updated.
so what's the folder, is it called Indigo Champs?
Let
Or is it just called
me,
Champs?
CHAMPS.
I've got the folder right here.
I was gonna say, Tom, I can share the whole folder with you.
Can you share it with our administrators? Because I think there's still, when they go in the search bar, we're still pulling up some things that I probably created a while ago.
Might as well add all of us onto that share.
And I do have it because I'm a collaborator too, but I'll let you do it, Amanda.
So I have Heather, I have.
What we called it was,
Um,
there's three folders. It was under CHAMPS, and then it's 2020-21 CHAMPS Officer Documents, CHAMPS Marketing, Family Engagement, and then you had you just added the 21 request.
So all of the stuff, so when you're in the 21 request, all of the archived reports are in the 2021.
I was just trying to figure out where the previous years went. I'm like, well, am I losing my mind?
Nope, because when you're going to look for documents, that's where you're gonna go into and you're gonna pop into the archives. So, everybody should have gotten the shared email now. For the folder itself. So we are in the voting expectations for meeting is where I'm like taking all of these notes. One thing that we talked about the last time we were putting binders together was that we should have kind of like an elevator speech at the beginning of every meeting. So that way, when we were going through the bylaws themselves, something that was blatantly apparent is that we did not necessarily uphold some of those things. So everybody needs to know that everybody's vote counts. So if there's a parent here, they can approve the secretary's report, or they can motion for approval for a playground committee, something along those lines. But really setting those expectations at the beginning of the meeting, that way it flows through seamlessly.
Well, I will work on getting like a cookie cutter introduction speech written down. That goes through all that and kind of explains the expectations of the meetings.
Okay, that's all I have.
Was that it for voting and expectations for meetings? Is that what we wanted to talk about? Well, then, we talked about the Google request form already.
Does anybody have any more questions about that? Okay. Good.
On to the feedback for the Google feedback form.
So one of the other things that we had a conversation about was opening up a feedback form. So after meetings, parents, staff, whomever could supply suggestions, comments, concerns, and it would go to one place. The other thing is, like I showed you with the agenda request form, it would all be documented into a spreadsheet that you could use year over year. So you can really identify, okay, in the beginning of the year, we saw that people couldn't hear us talking with our masks on. Okay. We addressed that by getting closer to mics, whatever we do to fix the problem. And then at the end of the year, we should see that, okay, the problem is no longer on the form being requested since, let's say, January, whatever, something along those lines. Is that something that we should pursue?
Absolutely.
Yes, we're trying to do a much better job, and I think if we're having our CHAMPS team model that, that's only gonna help us solidify questions and then looking at them and then making adjustments, and people know that they're heard.
Yeah, we definitely want to do a better job wherever and whenever we can, so more feedback is good, generally.
We can also make a standing item on the agenda then to address the feedback that we received from the previous
Yes.
week. I mean, we can, or previous month, so I can send out the form, like the responses that we got, so that everybody kind of knows what they're getting into when we're coming into it, and then discuss.
To give us time to research on problems too, so.
Yep.
Yeah. Alright. Okay, so is there any questions on the feedback issue, or any of the request forms, or anything we've gone over so far? everybody's clear on everything, we'll move into the middle school business. To which,
Could I bring up an elementary?
Absolutely.
I did post it as an agenda item for next month. But,
Yay.
so I was just thinking about,
Good job, Tom.
yeah, how we probably are, you know, won't be scheduling field trips, those types of things. So, you know, I thought, well, maybe there's a way to use some of those funds to promote reading. So, in one of our recent PD sessions, the presenter said, you know, obviously, if students are reading, students are going to read more if they are really interested in that topic. So, you know, Scholastic has these order forms. We could go through a process of talking to kids about what they're really interested in. Maybe, I don't know how often, but maybe there would be an opportunity for them to pick one or two books. We send in the orders, you know, it's a reasonable cost, but probably won't be any field trip requests this year. But this might be a nice way of supporting kids reading and at the same time, you know, getting them to explore something that maybe they're interested in, but they don't know a lot about.
Right.
So I'll bring back some kind of proposal next month.
in the previous
I think
years,
that's a
we've
great
done,
idea.
yeah, we've
Yeah.
done end of year books, which
Yeah.
is good. We've always sent the kids for the summer break with at least a book or a packet of books. So maybe we could just double that up or do it a couple times this year or something like that.
Well, I know, like you've in the past you've gotten requests for Christmas for $2 per kid or something. Well, why don't we do books or something?
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know,
Good idea.
but
So that's on, you did make the request for that for next week?
I just put the topic on there. I don't have anything.
That's a really good discussion to have early this year versus too late, and I think that's,
I think that's a
you'll
good
get some good
idea.
feedback, some ideas.
So that's all I got.
Do we want to bring up that issue you mentioned on the way in? Since that kind of ties into a little bit of that, or do you want to hold
So, we had an impromptu conversation. I also saw the email about, I don't know what field trips we're gonna have this year. So right now, both the middle school and the elementary schools are sitting in like a 0.5% bearing account. Covantage does offer, I would have to research it more, but I do believe that they have interest-bearing accounts that bear like up to 5% interest. Since we're not planning on fundraising this year and we're not necessarily planning on spending a boatload of money, if you will, on field trips, I guess the fiscally responsible mind that I have is saying, why don't we get interest on our account? While we have it at a fairly large amount, you know what I mean?
Right, make some money on our money.
Yeah.
So if that's something that we agree to, I will definitely go to Covantage and talk to them about business options or what we need to do, what yields the highest amount. Also being mindful not to tie up funds in like a CD that would hold funds for 18 months, you know what I mean? So making
Yeah.
sure that we don't limit ourselves.
Yeah. Now, you know, there have been conversations about walking trips, like City Park is right close to East, and, you know, if there was a day where, okay, we're doing a little walking field trip to City Park, and we would like some popsicles or something, or, and maybe that's through the box top account or something, but, so I don't know, maybe that's a real small thing that CHAMPS could maybe do,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, we just don't see a big, large purchase in our immediate
Yeah.
future, so we might as well try and.
Well, like last year, I had it slated for, I think, almost $4,000 to be spent out of the account before the end of the year, whether it be for the end of the year carnival or the field trip, and then an additional $2,000 that was supposed to be for the 4K or kindergarten trip
Yeah.
that was supposed to happen this year.
Mhm.
So all of that went by the wayside, and I know that we're supposed to be operating at like a zero balance. Obviously, certain things happened that we're not gonna be able to do that, but I think that buying popsicles and getting interest on our accounts and buying books for kids is the way to go. I think that that's a great idea.
Now, do we have to be careful with making, the interest-bearing account that we would have to pay taxes or anything like that?
We're most likely not gonna have to pay taxes, but I'm
Okay.
definitely gonna have to file the taxes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Because it's already been over $10,000,
gotcha.
so.
Okay. Well, I think moving forward with that, we'll do a little research and we'll put it on the agenda for next month to approve some sort of transfer or financial situation.
I'm gonna step out then if you're gonna go to this.
Thank you very much, Tom.
Yep.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Rachel. If she dropped out.
She might have left it right.
Are we good?
If she, we'll just move into a couple quick middle school items. One thing I wanted to bring up on the middle school was the snack funds that we had going on from last year. I know we had bought snacks for some of the, I think it was 5th grade, maybe 4th grade.
I think it was for all grades.
Was it for all of them?
Maybe not 8th, but I think it was for.
I know it stemmed
4th,
from the
6th.
5th, they were the ones that asked.
Fourth and fifth grade it was.
Okay.
And I think we did
The
elementary
emergency
too.
snack fund
And
or
then we
something,
did,
right?
yeah, the elementaries as well.
Yeah.
Are we doing that this year, is my question.
I can get some feedback from our teachers.
Yeah.
What we're doing right now this year, which has been helpful, is we deliver breakfast to their classroom. So I think that's giving some kids more flexibility and feeling comfortable. They don't have to carry it to their classroom, it's already there. So I think kids are kind of using that as a snack too, but I'll get some feedback.
Yeah, that might, yeah.
Okay, so
I know
Heather's gonna
mine
follow
is.
up with us by next meeting.
What was that?
Levi told me this morning, or when he got home from school today, yeah, Mom, I had a cereal bar and whatever was for breakfast this morning. I'm like, but you ate breakfast at home. I know, but I saved it.
That's good.
That's fine.
Yes, I'm thinking
That's
we're
what
not
it's
gonna
for.
need to do that, but I'm thinking that if I'll check with them, but if we don't do that, then maybe we could think of another, something else to do for the kids at some point in time,
Yeah.
even if it's per grade or, because the prepackaged food is the definite, so I'll check and get back to you.
Anything else as far as middle school business that anybody can think of?
I did check in with our fundraiser that we typically do. And so it's not Hanson's anymore, it is something else, but it's similar, they just got changed to company or something like that. So, just talking with the person who is helping with that, I just was saying, now is not the time to really do anything because we really don't need it. But you can do all your fundraising virtually. And I said, well, I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned more about the pickup because you guys had to deal with that with popcorn, right? So she was good. They have some creative ideas because obviously every school is doing that. And if they want business, they obviously have to figure out what that's going to look like. So I am going to keep talking with her, but we're not going to do it. Typically, we would do something like next week. But just keep that in mind. I have a good contact person for that fundraiser type of thing, if the elementary does ever want to think into that. And they don't have to run them at the same times. But again, I'm not really sure if we even need to, but maybe that's something that the playground or somebody would want to do. So just keep that in mind.
Is that, what is the Hanson, what do they sell? Is it the pizzas or is it?
What was that?
What do they sell at that fundraiser? Is it pizzas or is it a mixture?
The fundraiser, Hanson's is a pizza-driven company, but they also were doing extra kinds of things along with that. So this company actually bought out the Hanson fundraising, and so they still get their pizza from them, but they were more equipped to move into this online ordering versus what Hanson's was willing to invest into it. Typical stuff that you typically see from those booklets from any fundraiser. You know, like you might have gift wrapping, or you might have this trinket and it's food, but.
Popcorn one turned out pretty good too. We could always,
And maybe that's what we do this year, like, so I don't think anybody's in a big need to have anything, because we're not going on like incentive trips and field trips. And maybe we just take it this year and say, okay, we're not gonna do it at the middle school, but boy, this fundraising group, once you meet, they might wanna do something just to kind of like get a kickoff going or something.
any extra funding or any extra time to raise funds that we have, we could put towards the playground.
That's what I
There's
agreed,
tons
yeah.
of money that are gonna
Yeah.
be needed there, or have the ability to be used
Yeah.
there, so.
We could also look at what we're sitting at an end of year balance, and depending on like whatever, okay, we're gonna donate $3,000 from our account to the playground,
Yeah.
or whatever match funds.
Maybe we could do that in lieu of, or until we figure out the savings account. Didn't you say there might be like a grant account that CoVantage does for some projects or something like that?
So, CoVantage is yeah, it is a grant. So, CoVantage does community building grant projects where I can't remember if they match funds or what happens, but if you want me, why don't we look
Might
into
as
it
well
after
look
we
into it,
set
yeah.
our meeting
Yeah.
with
Does
Jake.
that, I wonder if that goes into a separate account then? Is that stuff locked up into a different account?
Well, it should be, like, if you have a playground account funding, like if we have Tim set up that account, and then we get the grant would go into that account.
Right.
So with the funds in that account, does that help us out tax-wise?
No.
It's still our funds, right? We're still, okay.
Even though they're like earmarked for something else.
No, if Tim sets up that account, it's gonna have, like, we're not gonna have a hand in the cookie jar at all for that, but we're already over by X amount of months where we may have some semblance of tax liability, but I don't think so. Nonprofits typically do not.
Okay, well, I don't have anything else for middle school, or in general, I don't have anything else.
No, our playground equipment looks really nice. If you
know.
haven't been around the back side of the school, we added swings and the jungle gym area. The kids love it.
Yes,
So, yeah,
they
how's it
do.
being received?
Yeah.
Levi's, they finally got to zone 3, is that the playground?
Yep.
They got zone 3 today for lunch, so he was super excited that they got to play on the
You
playground
know,
equipment
and
finally.
that's something that I think, in order to kind of keep the numbers down, it's
Yeah.
going into these like zones, that's been really helpful. So like, that's definitely something we're gonna continue. There's been a lot of things that we've had to rethink, and I think it's for the good.
Right.
We also realize that we don't have all of our students in person, and we need to work on our remote. So there's a lot more information coming out on that tomorrow. The Canvas management system isn't working currently, or it's not up and running yet. So Google Classroom is going to be, we're going to be sharing out information to our remote learners and families tomorrow about that. So, and that's another good reason to have this taped, because we need to make sure that we're providing equity, and it's hard to do that, but it needs to be done, so.
So, we all got an email, I shouldn't say we all, I got an email for remote learners about picking up materials tomorrow from 8 to noon. Where is that pickup happening, and do we have to request it?
You don't have to request it. It's going to be Friday mornings, 8 to 12, and it's going to be by the front lobby gym.
Okay.
They didn't provide that information.
No, I got the time, just
Okay.
not the location.
Okay. That's okay. Maybe we'll get something else. So you got an email. Thank you.
One other question I had from another parent was, there's like, maybe not question, just concern-ish. There's several different platforms, like Dojo and Infinite Campus, or however, not that one, but the Canvas, and then, what's the other one that the middle school uses?
Google Classrooms, Google Meets,
No?
Moodle.
No. But you can see my point, there's a lot of different, like, nobody knows just
The
one
goal
source
this
to go
year
get.
was to,
I thought it was Dojo.
Dojo
No.
is what we're using as a communication system, like school-wide, 4/7, but it's a message, they're interacting more with fourth and fifth grade. Because when they got to sixth and seventh grade, we had a long conversation about that. And then when we decided to go to Canvas and we thought it was gonna be up and running, that would have been like a message system for like, if you're Mr. Kabaki and you're teaching social studies, you have 150 kids. That was easier for him to manage versus going in and going to all the messages. But now that Canvas isn't up and running yet, now we're going back to multiple ways, which is very confusing and frustrating. So the 6th and 7th grade families have been invited to our school community dojo information, because like that's what I posted quickly today. That's easy for me. Versus an email, we know that most people would rather get it as like a message or a text message. So Infinite Campus right now, you have to opt in to get a text message. So we're still getting dialers. So this, we wanted it all cleared up before the beginning of the year, but it didn't happen. So right now, the middle school is using, we're sending Pride Weekly through an email on Friday. We're also posting it on Dojo on Monday at 10, and we're posting it to our school website at 10 on Monday. And then we're doing Dojo 4.7 for like community information, but 4.5 is really using it for more, which you guys are used to when you had your teacher, like you had one teacher, Mr. Schmidt, you got your information there, and some other teachers may have tagged into it like Art. 6 and 7, we wanted our 6th and 7th grade teachers to do that, but then when that learning management system came out for Canvas, they were like, well, instead of doing another thing, let's just do this. But now it's not running. So now we have this gap. It will be up and running, I would say, in 3 to 4 weeks, maybe 2 to 4 weeks. I don't want to say too much because we were hoping we would have had it this week. So, and then Infinite Campus is another portal to get information. So we're clarifying that right now, what that looks like. Our 6th and 7th grade teachers are more like our high school teachers, where because they have larger groups of kids, it's easier for them to post like on that Google Classroom, which will be into Canvas, versus posting it on Dojo. I think if I was a 6th and 7th grade teacher, I would use Dojo, but I'm not gonna force it down their throat. Because then they're just going to be upset.
Well,
So what's your feedback as a parent?
as a parent, I want one app that I can get all my information.
What was that?
As a parent, I just want like one app, one source. If it's an app or if it's the school website or whoever, I don't care. But I hear stuff on like the school website that may conflict with stuff that I see on Dojo, and I'm like, well, I want to make sure I'm getting all the information, not just bits and pieces. And I understand that some of it's dedicated to middle school, some of it's dedicated to elementary school, but I have kids at both, so it's just confusing, and then it makes me think, well, I wonder if I missed something.
So when you get district information, you're getting that through a district-wide message or a district-wide email, correct? And that's coming from central office?
Myself, I get my information from dialers, from Dojo, and from our communications. I think Amanda gets it from maybe the school website, and that might have had something different that I didn't hear. And that's what made me think about it. So I don't know. It's just very fluid this year, and I totally understand. But
So-
it's just
Sorry.
no, go ahead.
So I know that from a remote standpoint, like, I obviously reached out to you because I didn't know what was going on. And, like yesterday was the first day that I got any communication from 6th grade about, oh, okay, just wait, which is fantastic because a lot of her teachers actually sent the Google Classroom today, which made me feel much better. But there is a Facebook page now, a group for parents that are doing this remote learning. We're learning together, and we all have to be flexible. But there is some, like, I don't want to say miscommunication, it's just that not everybody's on the same page. So, like, my son's 4th grade teacher, before school even started, I got a letter, I got an email, we had a conversation about, okay, the first couple of days are not going to look traditional. We're going to get the in-person kids set up first, and then I'm going to be sending you emails and dojos, which are the exact same thing. It's the exact same communication, back to back, so I can see that I'm not missing something, where other people are not having that same type of communication. Not saying one is better than the other, but I can see where the disconnect comes from, that if the messages are not consistent and clear, that it's hard to follow along. That was just my feedback.
Plus, it's also being interpreted by other parents and then spit back at you in their words, and you're like, well, that's not exactly what I heard, but it sounds good, so, yeah.
And like, I know people don't want to overload teachers, especially the first week, with lots and lots of extra questions. So I feel bad I did it, but just something to think about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not asking for anything, I was just kind
No,
of
any
curious on
other
like
feedback
how.
on that? I mean, I know we're at the end of our meeting, but I think that's a good conversation to have.
Our next meeting's on 10/1, right?
Yes, that's what it's scheduled for.
Okay. That was the last agenda item in case we go offline, whatever.
No, I think that unless anybody has anything else, we can go ahead and adjourn. I think we hit all the topics we needed to today.
I will motion for the adjournment.
I will second your motion.
Yeah.
All right, meeting adjourned, thank you.